First official Sunday of NFL football is in the books, and man. A lot of things are happening, and look, I'm going to mention some games here, and some things are going to be good, some things are going to be bad. Don't be mad at me. I'm just a messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. We watch the games for ourselves, right? Well, the Browns played a lot better than anybody expected them to be. They're not a bad team, but we did learn a couple things, all right? This is the ceiling for Joe Flacco. It's not going to get any better than this. This is it. This is it. You now know what he can do, and this is the most he will be able to do. I do not blame game one on him, okay? The kicker missed three field goals that really could have won you this game. If you look at the stat sheet up and down between the Bengals and the Browns win in almost every section. They definitely win in all three phases. Special teams, offense, and defense, they definitely win. But the Bengals still beat them 17-16. There's just nothing you can do about something like that. It was just a bad day for them. Look, the game didn't go their way. The kickers' field goals weren't made. It is what it is. There's nothing that can be done about that, and that's okay. All right, now let's look at the Dolphins and the Colts. Look, the Dolphins got beat, and they got beat bad. Today, they kind of got embarrassed, man. They didn't even score a point until the fourth quarter, where they got a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. But they got beat 33-3 by the Colts. Daniel Jones, what a game, man. 22 for 29, 272, and one touchdown. What a game. He put up a game, man. This boy had a great game. Tua, on the other hand, 14 for 23, 114 yards, a touchdown, and two interceptions. This was kind of the big difference in the game, man. Tua just had a bad day. Miami couldn't move the ball to save their lives. Devon Akan, 7 carries, 55 yards, actually pretty solid, man. Jonathan Taylor had 18 carries, 71 yards. Tyreek Hill only 4 catches for 40 yards. So there were definitely some separating points in this, but I think the biggest shocker was how well Zach Wilson actually played. Sorry, not Zach Wilson. Daniel Jones actually played. He played very well. The Colts defense really held up, man. They didn't give anything easily to the Dolphins, which just explains their only touchdown in the fourth quarter. They didn't give anything to them, man. They made them work for everything. Every yard they made them earn. And the Dolphins just didn't have an answer. It's just that simple. There's really nothing much else to say this. The story is about the Colts, not the Dolphins. All right, let's run over to the Steelers and the Jets. Look, we learned quite a lot of things here, okay? The coaches in the past didn't use Justin Fields to his advantage. That's the first thing that I learned about this game. Because in this game, you can definitely see that the Jets were prepared for this. They had the right play calls, they had the right offensive line. You know what? This is my first time seeing Justin Fields take his drop back when he's going to pass the ball and actually step into the pocket. This is my first time seeing him do this in the NFL. And that's actually a really big sign because that means he trusts his offensive line. They can actually build a pocket around him and keep him safe and buy him another extra, you know, second or two to get rid of the ball, find the open guy, deliver the good pass. Now, it didn't work out at the very end of the game, but Aaron Rodgers, man, 22 for 30, 244 yards and 4 touchdowns at 41 years old. That boy playing. But look at Justin Fields, man, not far behind. 16 for 22, 218 yards and a touchdown. Listen, Justin Fields can play. Okay. His defense kind of gave up on him just a little bit. But towards the end, that pass that he gave to Garrett Wilson, in all honesty, I wish he would have just scrambled for the first down because I know he would have gotten the first down. Garrett Wilson just kind of gets blindsided a little bit and drops the ball. Completely understandable. 99.9% of people on earth would have dropped the ball as well in that situation. It is what it is. It happened. But Justin Fields is real. The Jets do have a good team. Aaron Rodgers, great start for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I hope he can stay healthy for the rest of the season so we see what they can officially do. Their backup in Will Howard, who was drafted from Ohio State, he had a broken hand. So I don't know how long he's out for, but let's just hope Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy for the Steelers. But for the Jets, you guys got a lot of good things to look forward to, man. I would not be very mad about this at all. Even Brees Hall carrying the ball 19 times for 107 yards looked great. But even look at Garrett Wilson, even with that drop, he still has 7 receptions, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Like, this is a solid team. If the defense tightens up, I'm not saying they're gonna compete perfectly in the AFC East because this AFC East is very tough. Right now I would put Miami at the bottom based on their performance. But the Bills are a problem. The Patriots are looking great. And the Jets are just right there, you know? So I don't know exactly where they stack up in the AFC East, but we're going to find out, man. The season is here now. There's no more talking about it. We just got to wait to watch it and see what happens. So keep your eyes open, Jets fans. The Jags take on the Panthers. Look, the Jags beat the Panthers. It is what it is. I picked this to actually happen in this game, but Bryce Young, there's just some, I don't know what it is. There are just some mistakes that he makes that I wish they can coach out of him. You know, there are some passes that he doesn't need to throw. There are some blitzes he never sees coming. There are some tight coverages where he can't squeeze the ball in there. You got to remember, you're not Alabama playing an Auburn defense. These are NFL players. They're going to go after the ball. They're going to, cause an incompletion, whatever it is. But 18 for 35, 154 yards, a touchdown, and two picks. But this is kind of what I mean, because the two interceptions that he threw honestly didn't have to be thrown. Those balls were forced, and what happened happened. Trevor Lawrence, 19 for 31, 178 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. But I think the best player on that side of the ball, if you ask me personally, I know a lot of people are expecting to hear Travis Hunter. No, man, it was Travis Etienne, man. 16 carries, 143 yards. If you had him on your fantasy, man, you were balling out today. But Travis Hunter, we got to be honest, man. Aren't we glad that we're seeing the Jags allow him play both ways? Now they're not giving him consistent reps. Like, it's not like he's on offense and they're not coming off the field and then playing on defense. No, nothing like that. But they're allowing him to play both sides of the field. Right now, he's still getting his footing in just to see, where he's most effective. Obviously, as a receiver, he can be effective, and as a defensive back, we'll find out. We don't quite know yet at the NFL level, but the more he gets tested by these quarterbacks, the more we're gonna find out how good he really is at this next level. But you got to give him time, man. That doesn't happen overnight. He doesn't just wake up and become the best DB. But we'll find out because he's playing both ways, and he's the first person to do it in my memory since Deion Sanders. So we'll find out how well he can do it, and then we'll see which one he can be best at. Which one do you guys think he can be best at? Let me know in the chat, in the comments. Let me know. Cardinals and the Saints. The Cardinals actually walked away with this game pretty good. 20-13, so the scoreboard doesn't look too different. But you know what? They're actually using Marvin Harrison Jr. He got 5 catches in this game, 71 yards and a touchdown. Kyler Murray, 21 of 29, can't be mad at that. 163 yards and 2 touchdowns. Once again, can't be mad at that, man. He performed very well. He was reading the defense very well. He did what he had to do to be successful and for his team. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, though, we do have a problem. Spencer Rattler, he's not a bad quarterback. There's just something that's not clicking. He completed 27 on 46 passes, 27 to 46, 214 yards, but could not throw a touchdown. He didn't throw a pick, which is good. But even after 214 yards of completions, he still didn't throw a touchdown. Their touchdowns kind of come from Alvin Kamara and some other things, but I don't know what to say about this one. This one is not really easy to judge. So a lot of people are expecting the Saints to come out and just be 0-16. A lot of people don't think they're going to win a game. I'm not 100% sure if I'm on the same bandwagon as that, but even if they win games, it won't be many. I don't think they will win more than 5 games all season. And if they win 5 games, I might be shocked. But maybe that's a good thing. So we'll find out. For Saints fans, I'm definitely sorry, but this is not the team. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the Saints have to do, whether it's drafting or whatever. Maybe they got their eye on someone and they want to throw the season away. I don't know. I'm not claiming anything. But whatever it is, they better figure it out, and they better figure it out fast, because this is not the team to help them get to a playoffs or a potential Super Bowl or anything. It just won't happen. Next up, we got the Commanders and the Giants. Like, the Commanders are still the Commanders. I think they are going to be a problem in that NFC East. Especially with that boy Jaden Daniels, man, he's just doing his thing. And then Ja'Cory Crosby Merritt, that running back, he's nice, man. 10 carries, 82 yards on this one touchdown. Deebo Samuels is also back, getting the ball 7 times for 77 yards. But New York, But the Giants, I don't know what to say about them. Russell Wilson is clearly not the answer for your future. You know, he only completed 17 passes on 37 attempts, which that's 20 incompletions, y'all, and 168 yards. But it's just not. I had to look. Russell Wilson is not the answer for them. Okay, if they have another quarterback that he is mentoring, that could be a totally different story because you know you can learn from the quarterback and all that stuff. Russell Wilson is not a bad player, man. I'm not mad at the guy. It's just once again he kind of reminds me of like Joe Flacco. We know your ceiling. We know you are not what you once were. This is it. It's not gonna get too much better than this. Even what he did with the Steelers last year, they still got rid of him. We know the ceiling. Okay. And the ceiling is much lower than what they were in their prime. Okay. Um that this might be a tough year for the Giants, but along the way I would definitely hope that, you know, they have some victories. I don't know how many. This one I'm not even going to call. We're just gonna have to watch him do it. But the Giants and the Saints are my two teams that I'm just like, man, I don't know what to actually say about these two teams right now. And that's how it was before the season, and now that's how the same thing it is now that the season has started. I really don't know. I really don't know. This one, we'll just have to watch and see. Buccaneers open up with a win over the Falcons in a division game. This one was, man, this was actually a really fun game to watch. Baker Mayfield has improved so much in his game, man. You know, even in this one, he went 17 for 32, 167 yards and 3 touchdowns. Michael Penix Jr., though, was actually my surprise in this one. Okay, I expected him to be good. I didn't know he would be 27 for 42, 298, and a touchdown. And they only lost by a field goal towards the end. So, look, man, this Atlanta team definitely has a lot to look forward to now. You know, now you got, you know, a tight end and Bijan Robinson. You got a really good defense that can actually put things together once, you know, things start coming up in the middle of the season. That AFC South is kind of wide open. No, sorry, NFC South. I said AFC South. NFC South is actually quite wide open, man. The Buccaneers are definitely my one in that. But you got the Falcons, you got the Panthers, and then you got the Saints. So that NFC South is wide open, man. If the Falcons can guarantee that second spot, split the wins between between the Buccaneers, so they go visit the Buccaneers and they split those 2 wins, they might be a playoff team, but something is telling me 3 teams are going to come out of the NFC North again this year because between the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings, I think all 3 teams will come out in the playoffs again. So maybe something crazy might happen in this situation where the Falcons might be left out. But if they keep continuing along this path and they actually put some wins together and split the victories between them and Tampa in this division, this could be a playoff team, especially if they can keep Michael Penix Jr. healthy. Ooh, I'm actually excited to see, man. How about you, Falcons fans? You guys think this is a playoff team? Because I think the Buccaneers definitely will be, but I want to know from the Falcons fans. The Raiders beat my Patriots, man. But we got to talk about it because this was a good one, man. This was a good one. It was kind of tough to watch the Raiders move the ball down the field. Patriots defense actually looked a lot better than I expected, but Ashton Genty, man, he did what he did in college. Now he's out here showing what he can do at the NFL level, and he's a great player, man. It is what it is. I think he will only get better as time goes, especially in the NFL. Once the speed of the game kind of slows down in his head and he can figure it out, he could be very dangerous. Geno Smith, man, look at him. 24 of 34, 362 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Drake May, man, I said it from the get go. I said it when this boy was at NC State. I was like, New England needs to go after this guy. I'm glad they did. I love watching him play. 30 for 46, 287 yards, a touchdown and a pick. That's cool. Travion Henderson, 5 carries, 27 yards. And Kayshon Boutte, man, he showed up today, man. 6 receptions, 103 yards. Look, I'm happy with this New England team. Mike Vrabel is definitely changing the way things are going. Okay. I expect this team to be a playoff team, but this AFC East is a tough division. And then that AFC West is also going to be wide open because now the Chargers want to beat the Chiefs in the first game. The Raiders obviously have to play the Chargers twice and they got to play the Chiefs twice. So we'll see how that goes. You know, we will see if they split those games. Huh. we got to watch out for the AFC West, but the AFC East is also stacked, man. As long as the Patriots can keep competing and actually win the games in there. Now, I don't know if we're going to beat the Bills at all this year. I hope we do. Because usually, if you lose to the same team in your division twice, that usually eliminates you from the playoffs. So I hope we could split with those. I'm hoping we can beat the Dolphins twice after what we've seen today. Maybe that won't happen either. But the Jets, that might also be a split. Or hopefully we can go 2-0 against the Jets, and that would really help a lot and kind of put us in a good position to be a playoff team. But Drake May, I just love the improvements that I'm seeing from this guy, man. Mike Vrabel, he's really changing the flow of this team, the players that he's bringing in. Kind of nice to see, man. It's definitely a big refreshment from what Bill Belichick used to do. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a Bill Belichick fan, man. I still think he's the best coach to ever do it, period. There's no question about that. What he did with the players that he had versus what other coaches did, bar none, is the best that's ever been. So, you know, I'm still hopeful. Looking for the Patriots to be like a 10-7 team this year. Maybe 11-6 on a, if one of those teams has a bad day, but we'll see. We're starting 0-1. Got to go pick it up from here. So let's find out. All right, we got to talk about it. The Packers and the Lions. You know, if the Cowboy fans are still over here completely in denial and claiming, oh, no, we don't actually miss Micah Parsons, I'm sorry, but y'all are all lying. You see what he did for the Packers today? And by the way, this is only what, a week practice with the team. They didn't even know if he would play the whole time because he probably doesn't even know the full playbook or anything like that yet. But Jordan Love came out. He balled out 16 for 22, 188 yards and 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, 19 carries, 66 yards and a touchdown. Jared Goff on the other side, he played well too. It's not like he had a bad game. 31 of 39, 225, a touchdown and a pick. But the Packers defense was a lot, man. And, even Micah Parsons got his first sack today. And he also disrupted the entire left side of the field. If you're on the defense, obviously the right side of the field. But from the quarterback's perspective, the left side of the field, he absolutely disrupted the entire gameplay for the Lions going over there. They started moving Amon-Ra St. Brown a lot. If you watch the tape, Amon-Ra St. Brown started going over to the right side of the formation just to help give Jared Goff something else to look forward to. But this is the kind of thing that the Cowboys are missing. And I still can't believe that they got rid of Micah Parsons, but I know the Packers fans are some of the happiest fans in the country right now, being able to take advantage of Micah Parsons being in their squad and having that defense, taking care of that defense and, being the backbone of it. I have high hopes, but this is the division that I'm talking about, the NFC North. Listen, I think the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings are all going to be playoff teams. I think 3 teams will come out of this division again. This will be the 3rd or 4th time that this has happened in NFL history, by the way. But I think it's going to happen again, man. I think all 3 teams will definitely split their wins. They're going to be 1-1 against each other. And some other parts like the NFC South may fall apart, so only maybe the Buccaneers will come out, allowing 3 teams to come out of here. Time will tell, man. I can't wait to find out, but this is just one of those divisions right now that I have to say is the best division in football currently. Next up, we got the Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Rams. So, look, everybody's on social media talking about CJ Stroud. He slumped in his sophomore year and all this stuff, but didn't realize that he took over 20 more sacks and he was pressured so much, he was hit so much because the offensive line wasn't as good. Now they're, beefing up that offensive line a lot better. However, there are still problems. They were able to move the ball today. I mean, even CJ Stroud went 19 for 27, 188 yards and an interception. They're able to move the ball, but they couldn't get in the end zone. No matter what they did, they couldn't get in the end zone. Matthew Stafford, 21 of 29, 245, and 1 touchdown. I mean, even when the Texans had a chance in the 4th quarter to come back, go down the field, and actually score a touchdown and win, what ends up happening is Ogunbowale got the ball punched out of his arm, fumble, and that's how the game ends. But the Rams, you got to give them their credit as well, man, because when they have the ball around the 2-minute warning, You know, you got a third down, the clock is stopped. They got to kind of get a first down to end the game. They get a first down on a great pass on an outside slant, or corner in this case, going to the outside to the tight end, and first down, the game's over. I mean, that was pretty simple. For the Texans, they got to find a way to get in the end zone, man. That's kind of be the biggest part of it. Um, who we got? We got Jay Higgins. You know, caught the ball twice for 32 yards. Dalton Schultz, 3 catches for 28 yards, and Xavier Hutchinson. They definitely got players around them. You know, I know they're glad to have Nick Chubb as well, especially while Dixon is currently hurt in the running back position. But at the same time, and they got to find a way to get the ball in the end. I don't know what the exact issue is at this point. I know one of their boys is still out and not playing. I'm not even going to name him just out of respect. If you're a Texans fan, you know exactly who I'm talking about. One of their best receivers. I'm not talking about Nico Collins, but on the other side of the ball. You know, if he were able to come back, maybe that's a whole different story. But we don't really know what the situation is with that. I don't know the guy personally, so I don't want to say anything wrong. You know, hopefully he recovers 100%. Hopefully he can still play football, and hopefully he comes back, man, because they need him. That's for sure. They definitely. That's all I got to say about the Texans and the Rams. Texans got to find a way to get the ball in the end. Right now, it's a challenge. Hopefully, they don't go 2, 3 weeks with this kind of mindset because the fans will start asking questions for sure. Well, now we got to talk about the comeback of the night, the Bills and the Ravens. Look, in about the third quarter, I kind of gave up on the game. You know, I watched it through. However, the Bills only had 19 points at the end of 3 quarters. You know, they were down pretty bad. You know, it was 34-19. I'm sitting over here like, you know what? This game might be over. Maybe the Ravens will just kill the clock, kick a field goal or two, bring them up to 40 points, and they're just going to ice this game. But nah, man, the Buffalo Bills scored 22 points in the fourth quarter. More points than they scored, obviously, in any other quarter. To come back and win 41-40 at the very end with a field goal. Impressive play, man. Listen to this. And they still kind of struggled a little bit, but listen to this. Lamar Jackson, 14 for 19, 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he scrambled for a touchdown. Derrick Henry, 18 carries, 169, 2 touchdowns. If you think a running back is pretty pointless in this league, you might want to watch this game because Derrick Henry did whatever he wanted. Running that ball to the sides, up the gut, whatever. And this boy would get some really long runs, and he had a great game. Um, Zay Flowers as well, 7 receptions, 143 yards and a touchdown. Look, Baltimore came to win. Okay. Sadly, 40 points just was not enough. You know, because on the other side, Josh Allen, 33 for 46, 394 yards and 2 touchdowns. James Cook had a rushing touchdown. Keon Coleman, 8 receptions, 112 yards and 1 touchdown. Look, in the end, Ravens were trying to kill the clock. The Bills wanted to win the game. And that's the divider in this one. The Bills simply wanted to win the game. They were like, man, us trying to come back and losing is not enough. We need to win it. And this can have playoff implications later on because of the head to head competition. You know, so maybe you run into the Ravens in the playoffs and you're like, hey, I would rather that be at home instead of going to Baltimore. This could set you up for that, you know? The Baltimore is in the AFC North and you got the AFC East and the Buffalo Bills. So this can have some serious playoff implications that a lot of people didn't think about. And maybe the Bills were thinking about that on the sideline, like, hey guys, if it comes to a playoff situation, we want the head-to-head win to have that potential advantage to be at home against the Ravens. That's not to say that's exactly what will happen, but it could play out that way. So we will see. But what did you guys think of this comeback, man? This one was crazy right here. This one was definitely by far my favorite game of the day.